I was in India. I was in India about 4 days ago, and one of the things that in the U.S., despite the fact that we cry, that education's too expensive, and this is bad and that is bad, I just ask people to go visit India or Africa, and there you see it's a whole different ball game. We have it pretty good in the U.S. A little tweak here, a little tweak there, but to give you a simple example, in India, if you want to get an education, say a 4-year college degree, not talking about 2 years, but a 4-year college degree, in virtually anything, you either have to be among the top 10% academically. If you want to get to the top schools, you have to be in the top 1%. To get into IITs or IIMs, it's the top 1%, 1 in 100. But to get a good college education, I would say academically you'd have to be in the top 5 to 10%. So if you're not among the 5 to 10%, you have to be very rich. And if you have to pay for your education, you have to go to a private university, and there you have to be among the top 5 to 10% of the richest people in the country. No more like top 1 to 2% to be able to afford that kind of tuition. But then there's a huge middle ground. There's 80–90% of the people, academically you can't qualify for the free seats, or from a financial standpoint, you can't qualify because you just can't afford the tuition. There's one more category in India. If you are from what are considered, what are called scheduled tribes and scheduled castes, that is, people that have historically been treated very unfairly over the centuries, then there's a certain number of seats reserved for if you were born in one of those scheduled castes or scheduled tribes, as they're called. So if you're that, you can still get admission. And I think there's reserved quotas of about 20 or 30% for that. But if you're in this big middle ground, you're toast. There's not much opportunity. Your education is not going to be good, and it's a real challenge. Access is a really big problem. So in many nations, access is an issue, and in the more privileged places, like all our universities and pretty much any university in the U.S. I mean, what is amazing is that I've been to a number of universities. I've been teaching for 26 years at MIT as I visit universities and so on. By and large, if you're an undergraduate in virtually any university in the U.S., you will get a pretty darn good education. I might be off by a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's just a phenomenal education. But that said, our education system really has not made really embraced technology, or education researchers have learned a lot over the past 30 or 40 years, all kinds of cool things, and I'll talk about a few, but really haven't brought all of that research that has been done into our education system. In virtually every other field known to mankind, whether it's, which of you is doing the wireless course? They're not here, okay.
They have
so,
a department meeting.
So I met them earlier this morning, and in the wireless course, just the ridiculous amounts of progress. From yelling at each other, we're now able to whip out a cell phone in the space of 4 decades, where research has been rapidly moved into practice. But in education, for that matter, things really haven't changed. This was a classroom from 40 or 50 years ago, and things don't look all that different today. And the researchers have made a lot of progress, have learned a lot, but we really have not, in a systematic manner, adopted all of these technologies, all of these ideas in the classroom, and things have pretty much stayed more or less the same. However, the world has changed around us. This is my daughter, she's 15, and this is how they study today. And I keep telling her she'll wreck her eyes, she'll wreck her back, but no, this is how this is what they like to do. Not only that, the whole millennial generation, they don't like to talk. They don't like, they just like to text and tweet and WhatsApp and Snapchat, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's a whole new world out there. I've seen, this is shocking. And I've seen, we we were actually flying, and I saw my son and my nephew sitting next to each other, and I promise you, they were texting each other. I don't get it. But that's again a fact of life. We had a whole new generation learns and studies differently. It's really hard to pin them down. Get them in a classroom, make them sit for an hour. I have after 5 minutes, I begin. Poor you. You have to be sitting here listening to me for an hour or more. But I begin to fidget after 5 or 7 minutes. And so even if I haven't had any coffee, and so in a classroom, I would sit in a classroom and. Usually around the 5-minute mark, I went to IIT Madras, the guys around me were a lot smarter than I was. I would lose the professor after the 5-minute mark, and then I would just sit there hastily copying notes. I had no idea what was going on, so okay, I'll figure it out later, and just sit down there, try to scramble away as they wrote on the chalkboard, scramble away taking notes. And so things really haven't changed, but the whole world has changed around us, and technology has changed. So edX was started. So when we started edX, our view was, let's try to find a way to increase access to education for students around the world. Okay, so we have a 3-part mission. We want to increase access. So no matter where you are, if you have a will to learn and an internet connection, we wanted you to be able to learn from some of the best professors and the best universities in the world for free. Okay, education is a basic human right, and if you really believe that, a basic human right means that everybody should get it, irrespective. If you have to pay for it, then it's not a basic human right. Okay, so don't increase access to education. So that's one. The second part was you have a 3-part mission. Second part was we really wanted to improve the quality of education. Period. We really want to improve education, bring technology to education, bring newer pedagogical models, create a lot more experimentation, and improve education both on campuses and online. So this wasn't just about recording videos and beaming them to Africa, but really we wanted to bring it back on campuses as well and improve what we do on campus. And that's a big part of what edX is about. The third part of our mission is research. And I'll talk about this later in the talk. We are gathering every single mouse click. Okay, why should just Facebook be able to do this and sell that stuff? Do you know Twitter? Twitter has now taken all of its tweets and they've given it to, I just heard in a report, they've given it to MIT to analyze all of these tweets. So you can gather all of this data. So we are gathering every mouse click. We know when a student starts an exercise, what answers they've given, when they stop doing it, what resource did they look at just before they got the answer right. But we know everything. We know who they are, where they are, what time, and we have all of this data. And our hope is that we and our university partners will use this data for good. Try to do research on the big data, do data mining to understand how students learn. And I like to think of edX as a particle accelerator for learning. Okay, and just imagine if a few years from now, with all this data, researchers are able to discover the Higgs boson of learning. So, oh my God, if you do this, the students will learn much better, and much quicker, and retain knowledge for much longer than if you did things, in a more traditional way. And already, in the space of 2 years, we're learning a lot. I'll give you some ideas that will surprise you in terms of what we're learning from all the data that we're gathering. edX is a nonprofit. If you truly believe that education is a basic human right, then we should be able to do it without private enterprises profiting from it. So our goal is to, you are a nonprofit, edX is a nonprofit. Most of the universities in the US are nonprofit, or around the world are nonprofit. So we decided we should make this a nonprofit. And MIT and Harvard invested $60 million into the effort. And many of our university partners are contributing by creating courses, also other contributions, and many foundations. And plus, we have a bunch of revenue models we put in place so that both our university partners and edX can be collectively sustainable. And although I don't have any prepared material on how we sustain ourselves, I'd be happy to answer questions on who's going to put bread on the table for all those of you who are creating courses and doing all the work in Elliot's office or at edX, what's going to keep all the lights on and how are we going to do that? So that's edX. The way we work is that we work with university partners. Great content resides in universities, so we work with a university and other partners. and they offer courses on edX. Universities create courses. Think of edX as a portal, as a destination for learning, where students from around the world can come and learn, and the universities create the courses. Universities also use these courses within their own organizations. So we partner with universities such as University of Chicago or University of Texas System and Berkeley, and around the world, IIT Bombay, Tsinghua, or University of Tokyo. You mentioned you're from Beida in Peking, so in Beijing, so they're a partner as well. Anybody here from one of the IITs? Which one?
Varanasi.
In Varanasi, okay. So IIT Bombay is a partner, and several from Australia and so on. One of the real exciting parts of our three-part mission is the access part. So let me talk about all three: access, how we think we can improve education quality, and research. Let me address all three parts. Let me start with the access. So to give you a very quick vignette of sort of edX by the numbers, today we have 3 million students from every country in the world. The different definitions of what a country is. By one definition, there are 196 countries. So we have students from actually 228 unique IP domains, and so it's 196 countries at least. 7 million course enrollments because many students take multiple courses. We crossed 300 courses yesterday. There are courses in many languages on edX. People from Louvain in Belgium are producing courses in French. Australia in Hindi, believe it or not, in China in Mandarin and so on. And our platform is also internationalized so that, and this works. So you can go to edX.org and you can select a language. You select Mandarin, the whole platform appears in Chinese. It's always funny, you turn it on, and then you forget how to turn it back on because everything is in Chinese now. So how do you go figure out what to click to go? so remember to memorize how you go back to English. We have 60 institutional partners, and we also focus, as a nonprofit, we have a three-part mission. So as corporate goals and corporate objectives that we drive ourselves to, we have objectives that relate to all three parts of our mission. And so clearly, in terms of access, our corporate objectives are, how many learners are taking our courses? The second objective is how many people are completing our courses. So these are all objectives. Similarly, from a campus learning point of view, we look for things like how many campus courses are using the edX platform in a blended model on campus. We also have metrics on how many unique campus stories do we have where campuses did something cool and unique and learned something new. So we actually, by the numbers, our education services team collects stories. So as soon as we begin producing courses, if you have something cool and you did something exciting or something novel, let us know, because we measure ourselves by how many cool new things are happening. So one reason why online learning really, and the whole MOOC phenomenon took off was the sheer numbers of it. And just to give you a sense of some of the ratios and numbers, when we launched the first edX course on circuits and electronics, and this is a hard course. This uses differential equations, among other things, as prerequisites. We had 155,000 students sign up from 162 countries. When we launched the course, no media budget, no marketing budget, 10,000 people signed up in the first hour. I'm not sure how they find out about these things, but they did. Of the 155,000, about 90,000 students even watched a video. So about 2/3 engaged in some way with the course. 26,000 tried a problem set. So we said, if you tried a problem set, then we define you as an active learner. That means you're serious about the course. You're not a tourist, so to speak, an academic tourist. So 26,000 tried the first problem set. And then at the end of the day, 7,200 students got a certificate of achievement because they passed what was a very rigorous course. So these are all big numbers. 155,000 is bigger than the total number of alumni of MIT in its 150-year history. 7,200 is also a big number. So I teach this course, or I used to teach this course at MIT every semester, and I would have to teach for 40 years at MIT to teach this many students. So these numbers are pretty staggering. But more than the numbers, the individual stories of learners are absolutely extraordinary. And learners just send us emails and tell us their stories, and it's absolutely amazing. So for example, one of my favorites is at the top left-hand corner is Khushbat. She's from Pakistan. So she got married when she was in 9th grade, and so she stopped going to school. And so she's been a housewife, and now she's taking courses. She's in Pakistan. And believe it or not, the course she's taking is a course called Justice from Michael Sandel. And she's gone back and she's learning, and she wrote to us saying, oh, my husband is very supportive, and so I'm taking courses now and getting back into education. So it's amazing how different people have just amazing stories. And I could go on and on about each of these stories, just absolutely amazing. The learners are doing incredible things. So here's one example. So one learner was taking the Delft course on solar energy. And this student was based in Africa, and in his village, the power kept coming and going. And they had a real crappy old diesel generator in the village. And this was a picture of you see all these little jerry cans of fuel and so on. And so what the student did was, based on what they learned in the course, he actually built a little solar, got a lot of solar panels, and he set up a solar system for the village. And we hear that the power is much more continuous now. So just an amazing story. Lots of courses also doing cool things in the course itself. So there's one course called Building Mobile Experiences. A lot of people say, oh, you can't do projects in these online courses. There is no such thing as cannot do. I've heard about 50 things that you cannot do online, and in the space of 2 years. And some of them 2 years ago I thought were just not possible to do. And if you remind me in the Q&A, I'll give you at least a few examples of things that even I thought were not possible to do that we are doing today in the space of 2 years already. And so, and project-based course is one example. So this course had involved projects. And as part of the project, students built mobile applications. And at this point, 15 of these mobile applications are being featured on one of these Android stores. So just another example of something cool that a course team did. We're also working on ways of rewarding students. Students like to work towards something, of course. And there are many ways in which they can take an edX course. You can audit the course. And if you pass the course, you get an honor code certificate, which is free. You can also sign up as on the verified track, and you can get a verified certificate. And the small fee for that, $25, $50, $100. And you can sign up for that. We also introduced sequences of courses called X series. And here universities offer a sequence of courses. Really excited Notre Dame will be offering a sequence of courses in theology. And so students will be able to take a sequence of courses, basic and follow up. And at the end, they'll get a certificate of mastery for a sequence of courses, not just for a single course. So students are very excited about this. So one other interesting factoid, many of you have probably heard a lot of lamentations in the press. Oh my God, completion rates of MOOCs are very low. And so, so students who sign up to take a MOOC, on edX, about 7% of them pass and earn a certificate. And you saw for the circuits course that I taught, the first course on edX, the pass rate was closer to about 5%. So it ranges, but 7% is about the median pass rate on edX courses. But one of the interesting facts is that there are various motivations for taking these online courses, and you really can't compare that to what happens on campus. So the whole motivation is different. So as an example, let me take a quick poll here. How many of you watch YouTube? Pretty much all of you. How many of you have watched every single YouTube video to the very end? Not a single one. Not a single one. So by that, the YouTube completion rate is 0. But completion rate is not the right metric for YouTube. So therefore, for online, for MOOCs, the metric is not completion rate. The MOOCs is, if we don't know what the right metric is, then, people are thinking about what is the right metric. You go in with certain expectations. Did you get what you came in for? And, that might be one. So another way to look at it is if you look at these credentialing mechanisms, for those who sign up for the free track, either audit or honor code, 5% of them earn a certificate and pass the course. But what we found was that for those that put even slight amount of skin in the game and signed up for the verified track, or they put in $25 or $50, 60% of them passed the course. And 60%, believe it or not, is about the average across the whole US in terms of pass rates in US universities, across the whole gamut of universities. That's not too bad. One of the things we did at edX as part of our access mission is learners can not only come to edX.org, the destination, and take courses. In order to increase access even further as a nonprofit, we made our platform available, the platform itself available for free to the world as open source, and we called it Open edX. So if you go to openedx.org, you can download the edX platform for free. And you can set up shop yourself. And in fact, if a group of you wants to get together and download a platform, you can set up shop and create a competitor to edX. You're using our platform and become part of the edX open source community. And so what we discovered, and we made it open source about a year and a half ago, and it's been amazing. The adoptions have been amazing. Today, for what we could discover, there's 50 Open edX sites, 50 learning sites using Open edX, and 500 courses running worldwide on Open edX sites. Here are some examples. Shuetang X is a Chinese national platform. Stanford launched an online platform called class.stanford.edu. So they have 21 MOOCs running on it, and they're using it for professional ed, for campus training, campus education, and so on. France launched France Université Numérique using Open edX. And and a bunch of the Middle East launched a couple of platforms, and most recently, India launched a MOOC platform, and we knew this was ongoing for several months, but yesterday morning, the Business Standard reported this was Thursday night for us, and so I saw it, but it's October 3rd. The Business Standard reported that India is launching a platform, a national platform. This is the Education Ministry called Swayam, based on Open edX. So, their hope is that the Prime Minister has said this is part of his platform, and they really want to, a large part of what they want to do is get at that middle ground that we talked about and see if they can educate masses of people who don't have access using a portal like this. Open source is useful in many other respects. It's good for all of us because as people adopt open source, they contribute back to the platform and help all of us. So many of the open source people have contributed to the platform. So Google is the open source partner, and they're helping develop edX, and they contributed single sign-on to edX. So now you can go to edX and you can sign on using your Google creds or your Facebook creds, and Google built this into edX. Stanford built adaptive hinting, e-commerce. Harvard built in annotation into the platform. EdRock, which is the Arabic platform, built right to left. So a number of features, and this whole feature set is accelerating based on the open source community. So that's about access. So both through open source and through learners coming to our site, we hope that we can reach large numbers of people around the world. The second part of our mission is how do you improve campus education? How do we encourage the blended model on campus? And how do we improve just the quality of education? How do we make the quality better? And frankly, one reason online education has been around for 40 years. And so, and certainly before that, distance education and correspondence education for forever. So why did online education take off? And one big part of it certainly was that really the leading universities really had not gotten into it. But really the big part of it was the quality was just not there. People just had videos and multiple choice. And videos and multiple choice, is really not, you can do some things with it, but it's really not great. And so the quality wasn't there. And so we're doing a lot to try to improve the quality of education. I'll show you a bunch of examples I'll give you 5 proof points as to why I think we can improve the quality of education through blended learning. So let's start. So the first proof point is active learning. So on the edX platform, when you come in, there are no lectures as such. So we replace a 1-hour lecture with what we call a learning sequence. So a learning sequence is a sequence of activities. So a learning sequence replaces a lecture. So a learning sequence is an interleaved sequence of videos interleaved with activities. Okay, so a learner might go and watch a video, and then a short video, and following that, they can do a little exercise. They can go and do some discussion, and then they could go and, so this is an exercise, a video, they watch another video, so on and so forth. And so here, the student has clicked on a video, and the student is watching a video. So this is from the Berkeley Artificial Intelligence course. And so this form of learning, where they are not just sitting and listening to a lecture, but they are engaging with the content. They listen, and then they interpret, and they apply. So this form of learning is a very important form of learning. It's called active learning. So this is a real landmark paper by Craig and Lockhart in 1972. And this paper demonstrated that learning and retention is related to the depth of mental processing. So if you just listen to something, the chance of you retaining it is a certain number. But if you listen to something and then you apply it, and you process the information, and then you and then you apply it, your chance of remembering it and retaining it is much, much higher. And so this was the foundational paper that promoted a whole field called active learning. So the whole edX pedagogy and the whole platform approach starts off being based on active learning. So the learning sequence, the UI element, the learning sequence, and this is unique to the edX platform, the sequence called the learning sequence is embedded into the platform, into authoring tools, so that using that and making a courses based on active learning is like falling off a log. You don't have to think too hard about it. It'll just tell you, okay, you do this, and it just encourages you into that dimension. And so this form of learning, where you watch something and then you interact, you have a discussion, or you solve a problem, is just part and parcel of the experience. And so that is the first proof point, that has been known to improve learning outcomes. The second is self-paced learning. So here's an example of a video, and a learner can come in and watch a video. And just imagine, you go to a class, if you were like me, I would usually lose the professor around the 5th minute mark. And so different people have different numbers. Mine was 5. And so just imagine, with a video, you can pause the video. You can fast forward the video. Heck, you can even mute the professor. And here are the learners, these kids who are grown up in this culture, where they can rewind, fast forward, they flex, they watch it for 3 minutes, they text some friend on something else. And I've actually seen the screen. My daughter, is lying around purportedly doing homework. I promise you, there are 6 open windows. They're doing homework, they're doing physics WebAssign, they're watching some Netflix thingamajig. Okay, they have a WhatsApp going, and they have like some Snapchat or whatever, texting and thing going on, and I'm not sure how they do it. And they're able to pause and rewind, and and it's very self-paced. But in a classroom, when's the last time you were able to pause a professor? So with videos, so self-paced learning is just a very simple thing. It's pretty obvious. You don't follow something, you pause. And on edX, we have many cool features. There's a rolling transcript. And one of the unique features that we have is that you can click on any word, and the video will jump to that point. So how many of you on YouTube have tried to use the mouse and the cursor to move the cursor back exactly one sentence because you just missed a word. How many of you have tried doing that? Has it worked? No, it just goes too far back and you're too far back or too far forward and just doesn't work. So what we did was we implemented this feature where you can go and click on a word and the video will start exactly where you clicked. And it's just a simple little feature and it's huge. And if you miss a concept, we haven't done that yet, but what we also want to do is implement a search feature where you can type on a search bar on any keyword, and boom, you should be able to go into a video at the exact spot where the professor said something and listen to it, like an index in a textbook. And so this is a useful feature. The upshot of this is self-paced learning, and the flexibility of it is very useful. And there have been many studies that show, and again, a lot of what we're doing, in fact, virtually most of all we're doing is not new. All of this stuff has been known. So this was a paper by Mayer in 2003 in the Journal of Education Computing Research, that something as simple as students who were able to press a continue button to go to the next topic simply did better than students who were not able to do that. This has been known for 11 years. Active learning has been known for 40 years. Self-paced learning has been known for 11 years, but that's my second proof point. And so what are we doing then? What we are doing is taking technology and applying technology to facilitate the kinds of key features of learning that have been known for a while and making it possible for professors to teach using that style. So really bringing technology into education to facilitate the kinds of pedagogies that have been known to simply work in research. Third proof point is instant feedback. So when we submit homeworks, I'm not sure how long it takes at Notre Dame, but in the Boston area, sometimes it takes 2 weeks to get a graded homework back. Sometimes never. So feedback, is 2 weeks. So you do a homework, you submit a homework, and by the time you get the homework back, what's the likelihood you're going to go back and look at your homework? It's gone. You've forgotten everything. It's gone. So let me give you a quick little demo. So on our platform, we have many, many different problem types, and you get instant feedback. You can read the problem, try to get an answer, and the grading is automatically done by the computer, right? And you get instant feedback. So I'll show you a quick little demo of, this is a chemistry course. This is Michael Seema's chemistry course. And the student enters a chemistry equation, and they get instant feedback. So let's run this. Enter an equation. They got it wrong. They think about it, try it again. They get it wrong again. They think about it, try it wrong again, and then they finally get it right. And not only is instant feedback a good thing, but researchers have again shown that instant feedback improves learning outcomes, that people who get instant feedback will learn better than those who don't get instant feedback. Again, it's been known. And not only that, it's more engaging for students. And learners are telling us that they go to bed at night dreaming of this little green check mark. And we knew we'd arrived when this green check mark was so big that it's been memed. And now this appeared as a meme. Now, again, in my generation, I didn't know what a meme was. So I thought this was pretty, insulting. And then everybody around, I can see all the younger among you laughing at this. But seriously, I had no clue. And people, my kids told me, this is cool stuff. This is amazing. Dad, edX has been memed. This is so cool. So I'm telling you, this is cool. This is good. And it took me some time for people to convince me that being memed, so a green check mark meme was actually a good thing. So instant feedback, so that was the third proof one. Instant feedback has been known by researchers to improve learning outcomes. And I want to give you and it's not just multiple choice. You can do all kinds of cool assessments. I'll just give you some examples of the rich assessments on the edX platform. And it's not the same in any other platform, so we've really focused, because our focus is to improve the quality of education, we focused heavily on providing a lot of rich problem types. You can do numeric answers. You can do formulaic responses. There is multiple choice of various sorts. You can do string responses. You can do image responses. We can provide an image, and where's Waldo? A student has to click on the image. You can also do cool graphs. You can give people graphs and have them click on, say, where is the graph across the threshold point? You can make them click on things. You can do custom grading. This is really cool. You can pretty much build any grader you want. You can use a Python script. And in this case, your students also enter 2 numbers which add up to 10. Okay, so you can provide a little Python script and you can build a custom grader. You can drag and drop. This is my absolute favorite part. So what you can do is you can set up a template. Okay, you set up a template, and then you provide a bunch of potential draggable objects. Okay, it can be little JPEG images, it can be text, whatever you want. And then the student has to drag the answers and form the answer. And you can do all kinds of cool things with it. You can have an image, and can have students construct an image. If you want them to build a graph, you can give them graph elements, and you can have them build a graph out of those elements. And so the drag and drop is extraordinarily powerful. You can do all kinds of cool things with it. We also do all kinds of game-like technologies, and so this is a circuit simulator. And things like this brings an element of gaming. So this is almost like playing, one of those Crystal Quest or one of those games. And so it's just a lot more fun for students. You can also do external. You can provide your own external grader, particularly useful for computer science. So we provide an API, and so you can summon programs, and external graders can grade complete programs. So that's the part about instant feedback. So we can provide instant feedback on all kinds of cool stuff. One of the things that people said, oh, you can't do is grade open responses. How do you grade essays? And so 2 years ago when we started this, I said, yep, can't do that. However, nope, you can do that. So we now have 3 technologies where, do I show that? Nope, I didn't have those slides. So we have 3 technologies today that they're not perfect yet, but where you can grade open responses. There's self-assessment, where a student writes an essay and then based on a rubric can grade themselves. A second one is called peer assessment, where students grade each other's work. And a third one, is a bit controversial, is called AI assessment. And with AI assessment, we use machine learning to grade essays. So where the first 100 essays are graded by the professor based on a rubric, that then trains a machine learning model, and then the machine learner then grades 101 onwards. And so even for big essays, you get responses back in a second. So we've open sourced that as well, of course. So that's a third way of grading essays. So that's on instant feedback. The next proof point is gamification. So it's well known that when you engage, students, they'll learn better. And when you're an engaged learner, you will learn better. If something is really boring, you got to be dragged through it. And so we bring a lot of gamification into it. You already saw some of that, the drag and drop and some of the fun ways of doing things. But we use a lot of simulation, virtual simulation technologies, and build various kinds of online labs. There's labs for circuits, physics, for mathematics, even for biology, and so on. So I'll give you a quick little example of some gamification styles, video game-like technologies. And in this case, this is I don't know if it was a chemistry course or a biology course, but the professor says, hey, I was trying to draw my favorite molecule, caffeine. I got it wrong. Can you draw me the caffeine molecule? So I show you a little video of a problem for the student, saying, hey, draw a caffeine molecule. So here a student is entering a caffeine molecule. Oops, they got it wrong. But the point is that you can build these game-like techniques where you can just use the kind of things you do in video games. And we've also now begun. One of the things we did was when we open sourced our platform, we open sourced certain APIs, and we are hoping that there'll be a huge marketplace. We're hoping that video game developers will begin developing such game-like simulations and creating a marketplace where they sell them. So where universities can go to a marketplace of these game objects that they can buy and fold them into the edX platform through the whole open source community. So that's gamification. And then finally, peer learning. Again, it's very well known that learning from each other, you learn better when you teach. And so we have a discussion forum on the platform that really become very sophisticated, where students can post questions or discussion threads and they all discuss among themselves. Although this is one technology that has already made its way into universities in the form of Piazza and other forums. So that's the one technology that has made its way to campuses. And so that is part of the platform as well. And one of the beauties of MOOCs and online learning around the world is that it's absolutely amazing when you're having a discussion, with learners from Colombia and India and Australia, New Zealand, and the US and so on. They're just amazing. And as one example, Esther Duflo is a professor at MIT, was teaching a course on poverty, and she would describe the poverty cycle and how people get into that. And then there'll be a whole bunch of students jumped in who were taking the course from the Democratic Republic of Congo and said, oh, that's exactly what happened to me. And the people with personal stories from various parts of the world where they were caught in similar traps and so on. So it's a very rich kind of discussion when you have people from all over the world participating in it. So that's about some of the ways in which we're applying the lessons from the learning community onto the platform. Okay, where by applying those, there are already existing papers and proofs that it's a good thing. Learning will improve, and so all we're doing is using technology to apply to learning. The other thing we've introduced is A/B testing. Okay, so I have a question for you. How do websites improve at rapid rates? So how many of you have gone to, say, Google or Facebook or any one of these sites? When you go back again, it looks different. Any of you noticed that? Where between one click and the next click, the two sites look different. So what's really going on is that websites use A/B testing all the time. Amazon is trying to sell you, a box of pencils. They'll show you one way, and they'll show you a second way, and see, and they'll randomize who gets what, and they'll see which one did people buy more. And then they'll say, oh, people bought, when I showed them the pencils in this manner, they bought more pencils than when I showed them the pencils in this manner. And so then they just switch to that, the B method. Why can't we do that in education? If we just have no way, we've been doing education in the same way for a long time. We've not really had any way to continually improve in that manner where all of us as, or many of us as instructors have wondered, should I teach using this method or should I teach using this method? Should I use a Blackboard or should I? Simple example, Blackboard versus PowerPoint. I mean, how many of you have wondered, should I use the Blackboard or should I use PowerPoint to teach? I generally use the Blackboard, but some people like to use PowerPoint. But do we know which is better? The students tell us that they prefer one versus the other, but from an outcome standpoint, well, what we could do here with A/B testing, just imagine if you could do both. Okay, you do the lecture in PowerPoint, do the lecture in handwriting. And then what the edX platform will do is it'll divide up the students into two streams. Okay, so you come in, everybody sees a common introduction, and then you create two groups of students, a group A and a group B. Okay, on edX we can create as many groups as you want, A, B, C, D, E. So each group gets to see some sequence. Okay, so one group might see a sequence involving text. Another group might see a video. Another example is PowerPoint lesson versus a handwritten tablet lesson. And then what you can do is you can give them all a common assessment. And then you can see who did better. And then based on that experiment, you can decide, okay, I'm going to show everybody handwritten, or I'm going to show everybody this other way of teaching. And so this way, we as educators can become education engineers, so to speak, where we can continually try to be engineering and improving what we do, which we didn't really have a way of doing previously. And here the platform supports that. And to make it easy for everybody to do that, you don't have to be a computer scientist to do it. We made it very easy. In our authoring platform, we give you a very simple graphical tool that enables you to set up A/B tests. So you can say, okay, I'm going to set up a group A of content and a group B of content. Think of it as green content and orange content. So you can simply create content, and if you mark content as green, it only gets shown to the B group, and you mark content as orange. It's very simple. It's completely based on just you click and it gets shown to the B group. And the edX platform will randomize students into the A group or the B group, and the A group will continually see A stuff, and the B group continually sees B stuff, and then you can give them a common assessment and see what has worked better. We make it very easy for professors and instructors and others to set up these experiments. The other thing we do is there are a lot of blended experiments going on among our partners and others where people are bringing in online into the classroom and sort of combining the best of online and in person. So one example is we did a number of experiments with San Jose State University, where the professors here took the circuits course, but this was in fall of 2012, and they blended the classroom. The students would, at San Jose State, would watch the videos and the exercises before they came to class, and in class, they would form groups of 3 and solve problems. The professor would also explain complicated concepts. And they had 3 sections. 2 sections were the standard sections, 1 section was a blended section. Amazing results. So in the traditional sections and in historically, the failure rate for this course were 41%. But in the blended version, the failure rate fell to 9%. And then we saw that must be just a complete fluke. And they repeated this experiment in spring 13, fall 13, and in spring of this year, spring 14. And the result has stayed consistently at about 9 to 10% of pass rates. A lot of universities use it. We're also working with community colleges that are doing this, and good results. So one criticism we hear is that, oh, you're out to replace teachers. So once you create an online course, then why do you need the teacher? Oh, can't students just go and do the course? And so what I do is I point politically in the press. They say, oh, Anant, you're out to replace all the teachers. But no, absolutely not. So we point them to people like Professor Jamie LaRue. She's a professor assistant professor at the Bunker Hill Community College in the Boston area, and she's teaching a blended class using a computer science course and on edX and using that in her classroom. And what she says is very telling. She says 2 things. One is she says, if I did not have the blended class, and this goes to some of the thinking I know that Elliot and others have as well, is so she points the students to the MOOC and says, look, you'll get the basic material from there. And she said if that material had not been there, she would never have been able to create such a course. It's a course on Python. She said, I would never have been able to create that course for my class. At the same time, she says that if not for her, the students would not have passed the course by themselves. So she said on being replaced, she said the students would never have got through the course without the hands-on help that she gave her in the classroom. So it's a very nice synergy where she said she could not have done the course had it not been for the online course available through edX. At the same time, her students would not have been able to pass the course if not for her blended help. And so the blended format really helped. And so I just tell people, just go talk to people like Professor Jamie LaRue. Ask her if she's worried about being replaced. And so don't ask me. So I think as people get more experience with these things, we're getting a lot more feedback and I think comfort that our hope is that online learning is like a rising tide that will really lift all boats. And of course, if you decide to adopt it, whether you're community colleges or universities or state colleges or private universities, everybody, I really believe that blended learning can be used by everybody and like a rising tide. And another example of on-campus use, virtually all of our partner universities are using it in one way, shape, or form. MIT has adopted blended learning in a big way. Today, 2 out of 3 students on the MIT campus are using edX on campus for their campus use to very good effect. Finally, let me conclude with say a bit about our research mission. And so here, this is time, a week, and it shows the amount of data that we're gathering. And this is a few months old, and we've already gathered close to 3 billion records of data. And we're gathering huge amounts of data every day by capturing every mouse click, every response. All of that is gathered. And then we can data mine this to see how students are learning. So here are some results. So one study done by Philip Guo from the University of Rochester was this. He wanted to study what is the right video length. Okay, is it 1 minute or is it 60 minutes? Any guesses? What do you think is the right video length? Yes. 4 minutes. Yes. 3 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
It depends on what the topic is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But this was a study done
I'll say
7 minutes. This was a topic. Again, he analyzed 5 million video watching sessions, and across a number of courses, and plotted sort of the median results. But isn't it interesting that when we took a poll, we all believe that each video should be short, 2 minutes or 7 minutes and so on. But isn't it funny that in a class, by and large, we sit and lecture for an hour. Now, many teachers use the Socratic method where they'll talk for 2 or 3 minutes and then they'll pause and ask a question or harass the student somehow or whatever. So that does break up the lecture into bite-sized chunks, and students certainly like that breakup. So here's his result. So the video length is on the x-axis, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, and so on, all the way up to 40 minutes. And here was the median time that the students spent watching the video. And turned out that the optimal time was 6 minutes. And I didn't believe this when he said, I said, no way. So this was the red curve. For all the students, the median time was 6 minutes. I said, that's too low, it just can't be. So I said, why don't you do the same study for students who passed the course? I expected for students who passed the course, the much longer videos would be they'd be much more engaged with the much longer videos. Turned out, even for the blue curve is for the students who earned a certificate, and notice the top didn't change. What did change was that the people who passed the course did watch 40-minute videos for about 30 seconds longer than students that didn't pass the course. So it's we're coming out with the mobile experience, and so the reason I have this slide in the analytics section is we're coming out with the mobile experience, and here are some of the screenshots. But given that research is such an important part of our focus, that even when in mobile operation, even with disconnected operation, we keep track of all the analytics, and the analytics get uploaded when the student connects back again, so we can gather mobile use as well. I mean, interesting to see. Is mobile video watching, is the length any different? So it will be fun to study that. So let me pause here and just leave this provocative slide up, which is I was walking. This is the infinite corridor. Any of you have any connections to MIT? Either alums of MIT or have children who are studying there? Some MIT folks. So this is the infinite corridor at MIT. It's a long corridor. And I was walking down this corridor about 8 months ago, and I saw this on the screen, which says, should we rethink the 4-year system of residential education? And they've asked students to be bold and join the conversation, and the future.mit.edu, and to discuss it. So is the 4-year the right number for a degree program? And I just thought that was pretty interesting. That discussion is happening as we speak. So let me pause there, and I'd be delighted to take questions. Thank you.